Alrighty, y'all, it's 1:30. It's time to do this. Pray I don't chicken out. Oh, God.
But before we get into stacking stuff, I actually wanted to share something with you.
After a lot of deliberating and a lot of reflecting, I have decided to resign from. Hey pretty people, welcome back to my channel. If you've noticed, my voice is quite nasally. I am so sorry. I am recovering from a cold, so please bear with me. I had been feeling a type of way about my job for quite some time. I just was not loving it, not loving the work I was doing, and just feeling like I was really underutilizing my skill sets and not feeling fulfilled on the day-to-day. I just couldn't take it. Like, we are at work too long to not really be enjoying what we're doing. Earlier this year, I had started to entertain the idea of quitting my job. I instead decided to take long PTO. If you haven't seen the Casablanca vlog, that was from the PTO that I took back in April and May. So yeah, back then I took about 3 weeks of PTO. I went to see my man, and just take some time off of work. I feel like I have been really bad about taking PTO regularly, and that's just for a host of reasons. I'm in a long distance relationship, and just so many things. So I have to be really strategic about how I take my PTO. And what ends up happening is that I hoard it so that I can take these long trips to see my man. And then that week leading up to when I take my PTO, I am just shot over it, like tired. So I take it, I come back, and it's like, okay, back to this. So that's kind of what had happened this time around in the spring. I took my PTO, I was gone for a hot second, and because I was gone for so long, 3 weeks, I came back to a lot of work and just nothing really changing, nothing really giving. I was just like, okay, I need to make a change. And I was also at a point in my job where I was transitioning off of projects I had been on for some time and starting new ones, and throughout all of that, I'm just not loving this experience. I'm not excited about project opportunities. I am tired, and I was coming up on 2 years of my job, so I think that combined with not really loving the industry that I was working in and just a host of other things, it was time to just revisit the idea of actually quitting my job. I would dread getting up. I would dread opening my laptop. Fortunately, I was still working from home primarily. I was complaining all the time about everything, like about my job, about life. Like, I was just such a negative person, and I really just did not love who I was becoming. Like, I know that things get hard and you're not always gonna love your job or the circumstance that you're in, but I was like, no, I've tried to find solutions to improve my situation at this job, and eventually I realized this company just is not a good fit for me. The work I'm doing is not a good fit for me, and I would be doing myself a disservice if I stayed here any longer. The combination of knowing my worth and putting myself first, and voila, you get yourself an unemployed baddie. We are in like this era of great resignation. Everybody's quitting their jobs, whether that be to just spend more time with their families, whether that be to follow entrepreneurial pursuits, to become an influencer. I recognize not everybody is in a position where they can quit their job, and I also just want to say that I do not come from money. Y'all could see the 4x4 box that I am living in. You would know that I do not come from money. My parents are African immigrants, came to this country in the 90s, literally left comfort and privilege in Gambia to come and be here, essentially for a better life. I know what working hard and starting from the bottom and grit and bootstrap mentality, I know what all of that means. Everything that I've witnessed my parents go through, I've just kind of taken that as a lesson and applied that to my life, and I intend on making sure that their immigration was not in vain. As a first-generation child of immigrants, I have my parents' retirement plan. I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of first gens, a lot of children of immigrants can relate to this sentiment of having to support your family financially in any way, shape, or form. It could be as much as supporting a bill at home, or like literally sending them money to support themselves. I could go on about that and how difficult that can be. It's a lot to carry. When you don't come from financial supports and safety nets, it can be hard to kind of create that yourself while also being said safety net for your parents, especially when maybe there are certain like cultural expectations or sentiments that, you know, are very vocal about you having to carry out that role. So I completely recognize that. It's hard, man. It's literally hard for us immigrant kids, like trying to break generational curses and generational trauma and build generational wealth for ourselves. You just have this huge responsibility. This was my first job out of college. I got lucky in the sense of like, you know, I got the nice corporate job with the good enough salary. Could have been better, but we're so grateful. I had the 401k. For me to just give that all away because I didn't love my job. Certain generations might, you know, consider that to be very bratty, spoiled, like, oh, you Gen Z kids can't work a day in your life. Like, y'all think everything should come easy to you. Now I kind of want to talk about how I was able to make this happen financially, because that's a really important thing to consider when deciding to make such a big decision like quitting your job. Unfortunately, we live in a society where you got to make money to pay the bills and house yourself and feed yourself, and I think it's crazy, but it is what it is. My monthly expenses are pretty low compared to my peers, I will say. Luckily, my rent is not that much, so I'm able to keep my variable expenses quite low. So that's just one thing. If you are somebody who has a mortgage, who has expensive rent, it's gonna be harder, and it's not impossible, but it's gonna require probably some more saving on your part. I've always been a saver. And if there's anything my immigrant parents have told me, it's the importance of saving and credit. I don't know why they're so obsessed with credit. Well, I get it, but like, there's other things that are important too. Ever since I got my first job at like 16, I've had a savings account and I have been filling that baby up. Like, I remember in college, I had a work-study job, and when I tell y'all, my checks would be skimmed. I'm talking $60 a check. On a good check, $120, but I was always saving at least half of those checks. So like, I am able to live like below my means and literally, like I said, keep my expenses low. I think this is just a product of coming from an immigrant background and having to be resourceful. I have been saving for a very, very long time. Before getting this job, I had started learning more about personal finance, saving, budgeting, investing, and I had made the intention to keep up with those habits of saving. Paying myself first is what a lot of people call it in like the personal finance community, and just not letting lifestyle creep get to me. So when I got this job, I started an emergency fund or a rainy day fund, and I had been filling that up ever since. Like, every pay period, like, I always will budget something for savings, and that's just something that I've kept with me for the past 2 years. I think that's really helped, and because of those diligent practices, I'm now at a point where I've reached a little bit under 6 months of expenses to cover me during this period of unemployment. Coming from an immigrant background, you really do learn. Unfortunately, scarcity mindset is quite pervasive, and you really internalize that. And because of that, I have been saving like for hibernation, like Sandy. It's super important for all of my immigrant kids out there working their first jobs. Please get your finances in check. You know, a lot of people in our community say that education is a ticket to freedom, but I feel like our communities fail to mention the importance of financial education when they're talking about education. It's always like academic, you know, education, go to school, doctor, lawyer, engineer, become one of those professions, you're set. But if you don't have the financial background and foundation, if you don't know how to budget, if you don't know about investing and retirement and maximizing your savings and knowing where to put your money, oh, y'all, generational wealth is gonna be really, really hard to build. Like, it's gonna be really, 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 really hard to build. I'm very, very grateful that my scarcity mindset has been able to translate into something as fruitful as a comfortable rainy day fund that I can tap into during this period of unemployment. I'll be taking the month of August off to really just rest, y'all. I will be back on the job hunt very soon. In the meantime, I'm really just enjoying this time off. Don't ever gaslight yourself into thinking that you don't deserve rest, okay? Okay. Anyways, that was it for today's video. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I hope you all like, comment, subscribe for the vibes, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.